seen the music video for that. It was fucking, like, for the time it was mind-blowing. And as well, it was even more mind-blowing for people because they were like, this is the fucking Beastie Boys? Because a lot of people still had the Beastie Boys kind of like fight for your right to party in their head.
That frat boy kind of anthem.
And it just kind of like, it just knocked the shit out of people. But as well, at the time they were listening to an awful lot of kind of like jazz stuff when they were looking for samples. Because people who aren't familiar with sampling, a lot of time, what people do for hip hop beats, they often try and find like obscure jazz or kind of blues musicians and get a musical loop, or say it could be a drum beat that they can kind of like, put on a loop, or they can try and find, like say in Sure Shot, the flute as a sample. That's played over and over and over again. Now it's a lot harder to do because people would just sue the arse off you if you sample them. People still do it, but it's not as widely used. But they were listening to an awful lot of Miles Davis and stuff like that, which influenced them then playing the instruments, which you can hear. It's really weird because and as well the whole thing when they were having the kind of like punk, kind of like, or the hardcore songs in it, they were just like, why fucking not? There's no reason that we have to kind of like do the same type of music, or why everything has to be the same. This is just
get a bit
us.
funky with it, kind of.
Yeah. No, but it was just like, this is us. Why should we try and be anything else or try and fit into it? And like that's, I think you'll see a lot of the time, and I think we might have seen it already going through kind of like different bands and different things, that when kind of like bands or artists are normally true to themselves, that's when things kind of
that's when the magic happens.
Whether they get massive from it or not is another thing, but it's normally the sweet spot.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes. But what did you think of the instrumental bits on it?
Loved it.
It's not, like for most part I thought it was good. Now, one of the things I like, as I said, I really enjoyed this album through and through, but I found some of the instrumental bits, one of my kind of pet peeves, I would say, is kind of like with techno music, is like the repetitiveness. And now I would never kind of compare these, that there was some parts of the instrumental that just kind of looped for a little bit too long. That grated on me slightly, but other than that,
yeah, I can see what you mean there. For me, I actually didn't find it that repetitive, because the songs weren't too long. I think if they were a little bit longer, then they might have become a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're bad by any means now. I'm just saying that, like, if I was to try find
fight,
do it. No, but if I was to find. Even like a little grain of something, that would have been it. But other than that, no, it was a really good album, and it's kind of opened my eyes that Beastie Boys is probably a band that I've overlooked. I should probably investigate a bit more myself now, because I enjoyed it now, and
I'm excited to try out the other albums now.
They're all good. There's no bad Beastie Boy album. Even the first one. I was
really surprised though, because they'd never even been in my kind of radar, I suppose, of when I've been looking into music and I've been looking for new music to listen to. I've never even considered them. So I'm delighted that we got to review them.
Yeah, it was a black spot for some reason. Kind of, or not a black spot, blind spot.
Yeah.
In my vision, and yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll both be listening to a lot more from now. Listening to them a lot more. Now.
Are you surprised that it was something that I listened to?
I actually thought it was a little bit kind of lighter than what you'd normally be into. But no, I don't think I was surprised. I'm really after opening my mind in regards to all kinds of music in the last couple of months. But I guess I was a little bit surprised at first, but I suppose because of the era, maybe it was something that you were into a little while ago, and it just kind of stayed with you, because my music has totally changed in the last 10-15 years.
Yeah, and one thing I find interesting, I saw it before, and I don't know if there's much data behind it, but it does seem to be true, just anecdotally, that kind of the music you listen to when you're in your teens, from around like 13 to 16 or 17, just sticks with you and has a very deep impact on you. More so than any other music in your life can, just because it's your formative years. So if this was something that you listened to then, of course you'd still have a real strong place in your heart for it, of course.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff I listened to back then that I wouldn't in a million years listen to now. I think I appreciate this more now as well.
I do think, though, a certain music that you listen to in your teen years will kind of give you a bedrock for sort of stuff going forward, though, as well.
But I was very much, I always love rap and hip hop. Like always, I think a lot of Irish people do for some reason. I don't know
it's
what
so
it
weird.
is, but I think it's like a shared experience of like, you know, I'm not saying that we fucking kind of like anywhere near as much hardships as some kind of like African Americans and
No,
stuff.
I don't
but like
think so.
there's a similarity there. There's a shared history as well, definitely over in the States.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you have like what was a massive rap band in the 90s, the House of Pain. They're Irish. Like rap in Ireland, there's an awful lot of rap artists and rap bands in Ireland.
Which is
it's
mad
just
when you
really,
think about
really,
it.
really big.
And of course,
very,
Ireland does tend to be sort of very US sort of focused in its outlook culture-wise and all the rest. So you tend to look towards the States.
The culture, I think, for some reason, Irish people have always really liked rap culture or hip hop culture in general.
And that's the thing as well. I mean, there's an awful lot of Irish Americans have obviously settled in sort of areas where there is a lot of hip hop culture in general as well. Like, I mean, sort of the bigger cities in America. And so there is that kind of weird mesh and melding going on.
Well, they do. We've talked about it previously on other podcasts, but like, I mean, the African American community and the Irish, I don't know what it's like over in America, but kind of like, I mean, generally kind of like they had a shared history over in America and definitely kind of like, you know, in the UK with the no blacks, no Irish, no dogs in pubs and stuff, where we were kind of had the same kind of
ostracized and similar
shit
ways.
about us. So kind of like, you know, the same, you know, as well, kind of like, as well, it's the whole thing because like Africa and Ireland, that for some reason African and Irish people get on like fucking houses on fire. And there's for some bizarre reason, there is very, very, very similar cultures between it. And like, I mean, I've been around a few different places and stuff, and could meet someone from Sweden and you wouldn't necessarily, you know, click it off, or anytime I ever meet anyone from Africa, you're fucking...
That's weirdly racist of you.
Yeah, but you know,
positive
it just seems to be, you just kind of like, you know, get into the swing of thing.
You'll get along with all Africans, Wayne. That's too racist.
That's it, broadly continental.
Yeah.
Yes, very broadly continental.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? There's a very, very similar culture kind of there. But that's fucking
really weird. Oh, yes,
away from the Beastie Boys and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
But as well, I suppose one of the things, speaking of travelling and stuff like that, that was a bit weird for the time was because MCA went off travelling and he got into Buddhism and he brought it back, and that was kind of like incorporated into the album as well near the end with the Mongolian throat chanting. The mother, like there's the song Shambhala as well, or not the... What was his David?
What?
I mean, your man that did Shambhala.
Oh, on the road to Shambhala.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't remember the name of the band. Yes.
But you know, so it was kind of like adding in the I can't pronounce it, but it's Bodhisattva vow.
Bodhisattva.
Yeah, but you know, it had that thing in on it as well, where it was starting to, like, I mean, PC culture is and it wasn't PC culture, but it was very unusual for people to be talking about Buddhism in that kind of context of music.
Yeah.
At the time, and as well, it was very brave for him to be kind of like, yeah, this is what I'm into, and
they
did stuff like for Tibet as well. They kind of like put together charities and concerts and stuff, try to raise awareness and money.
Yeah, and it wasn't this sort of weird sort of like, oh, look how good I am sort of doing this. It was just something that there was a genuine interest in. It wasn't doing it for sort of all these sort of holier than thou reasons, you know. And
of course, kind of like, you know, MCA or Adam Yauch is dead now. He died like, I think it was
quite young,
12 cancer, I think 47.
Yeah.
And it's for anyone, in case I forgot, I can't remember whether I said it or not. There's a new documentary / show the Beastie Boys have done based on their book that they did about their history. I think it's called The Story of the Beastie Boys. Well, the book is definitely called that, or Beastie Boys Story maybe, and it's fucking fantastic. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen. If you like you should go off and have a look at it, lads. It's
definitely
entertaining.
It's brilliant. Like the way that they talk about their history, they're very, very open about things. You get to, and it'd make it a fantastic movie. It is like nearly a made up story about kind of like early highs and lows, but not in a fucking kind of the dirt. Kind of like not in a fucking Motley Crue sort of way, or Ozzy Osbourne sort of way, with people fucking going mental and nearly fucking and overdosing from drugs. You know, it was
Yeah.
And then they were like very much when MCA died, it was, yeah, we're done. And it's really sad watching the show because whenever they do talk about them, they tear up, and you can see it's genuine. It was especially
they're missing their friend.
You get to see it. It's like these people that they were friends from when they were kids, and they were with each other fucking
night and day, day and night,
35
night
years,
yeah.
And then
yeah, it's heartbreaking.
And as well, it's quite good just to see how fucking they got screwed over by Rick Rubin and Def Jam Records.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. But everyone gets screwed over by the record industry, really, don't they?
Yeah.
It certainly seems that way, yeah.
So I'm just delighted to hear that she.
I know.
liked
Beastie
it.
Boys in its entirety has
you
made
didn't
it onto your
expect it, though, did you?
playlist.
No, I didn't know. Well, no, I did know. I thought you wouldn't be kind of like it wouldn't be
Totally
kind of a thing.
opposed
We
to
had
it.
like anal cunt, kind of like where you'd be like.
Well, that was
"Nah,
why I
won't be."
suggested you should maybe check out the videos, because I do think you miss out on a huge kind of important part of who the Beastie Boys are if you don't actually look at it at kind of the videos in tandem with the music, because it is the whole sense of humour that shines through in the videos. Kind of actually you kind of go, oh, actually now I get what they're going at with this whole kind of strand. It's just this whole irreverence and fucking.
That's the thing with they're a bigger package than.
Yeah, it is. They're hilarious.
But like
well.
the attention, like I mean, they would have had like with the cover design for the album as well, and it was like a photo from the 1960s that someone took, I think, for Esquire or something like that.
Yeah, I
that
thought
they
that
managed
was
to track
really
down.
cool.
And they went off and asked their man for permission to use it, and he was like, "Oh well, I want to hear your music first." And then he was like, "Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, you can use it." But you know, it was like that was the thing with the Beastie Boys, and especially this album. I think where it's like it is that kind of like sampling, like going off, getting older things and kind of rejuvenating them and incorporating them into stuff that I think they find a lot of the 90s.
Yeah.
With it.
I really want to go and get a record player now and like get vinyl for all the music that I like.
You need to
That's
do
your
it.
project then, yeah.
They're starting to rub off on you, are they?
Yeah, definitely. Because I know there's vinyl in like the sitting room that I haven't even looked through that belonged to my mum. Now I don't know if I'd be into any of it, but I'm really considering
Imagine
buying a
if you
record
discovered
player.
your mum was a big Beastie Boys fan.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, I've got the whole collection.
Imagine you start finding like early Mayhem and all these black metal bands. You're like, what?
No, I'll hide that and won't tell anyone.
That's why she had those headphones. She's like, oh, I'm just going to listen to some trad music. And then she's like, listen to like fucking Behemoth.
Behemoth.
Yeah.
No, Behemoth.
You always had trouble
purpose?
pronouncing them.
Sure, let's go with that. Let's pretend I said it wrong on purpose.
Well, I'll certainly
Sure,
have to have a look at
we were
the
the same.
vinyls that are up there anyway.
You were the same.
Yeah.
Yes,
Buy a
indeed.
player.
But yes, I suppose until next week then.
Yes,
Thank
go
you
buy
for
vinyl.
listening.
and
Buy vinyl. Listen to
yes,
the Beastie Boys.
And
And
fight for your
so
right
I
to
think
party.
yes, next week will be more 90s stuff with Green Day.
Yeah.
Tune in again next
Ducky.
week.
Yeah, so until then, fuck off.
Cut off for now.